Live this morning, we have Mornings with Mrs. Louderback.
I'm so sorry. Um, hi guys. I'm thrown off by the introduction. So we're gonna be spending this week talking about composting, and so I thought I would show you my setup at my own house. So this morning I was getting my own lunch ready and cleaning out the fridge because there's no food that can go to waste. It can always be put back to composting for the soil. Okay, so rather than throw it out in the trash, we can repurpose it. So I've got some like broccoli that's gone bad, some blueberries as well. These are like tomato slices that weren't eaten. And then I've got coffee grounds with the coffee filters. All these things can be composted and turned into soil slowly, all right? So we're gonna actually go to my compost areas and I'll talk a little bit about them. So we're gonna head this way and check it out. So, I actually moved over here in July last year, so I didn't have a compost area set up. Our previous house, we had this huge compost area, so this is actually video part 2. So this is our first compost. This was my raised garden bed that we created when we first moved, and I didn't put soil in it right away, so I started putting my compost things here. So I've actually got some corn husks, some onion peels, there's some reeds and stuff, and then this is actually last October's pumpkin that's growing in compost. So actually life can flourish in this area. There's also coffee grounds. So in order to do composting, you need what's called greens and browns. So greens are gonna have things that have moisture that'll break down really quickly. So that would be like the cucumber, the broccoli, and like the coffee grounds. They have a lot of moisture. That's a green. Things that are browns, they decompose slowly. So that's grass or the reeds, and they also help in terms of keeping the moisture in, but also keeping some of the like like pests and flies and stuff away. All right, so we're gonna go this way. All right, so that raised bed was my makeshift garden. We're actually gonna head, I didn't know where I was gonna put my garden yet, but we did establish it this year. So this is my garden over here that I've started working on. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about composting. So we have about 4 acres, and with all the rain that happened early this spring, we got a little bit behind in mowing, and I had asked my dad to help us out one day. So 3 of us were all on a mower out on our land, if you want to pan over and show everything. But the problem is sometimes when you ask for help, it's not always the same kind of help that you want. So he actually ended up mowing quite a bit. My father shorter the grass than the rest of us, and because of it we got all this extra grass here just like clumped around the land. So to be helpful, we actually ended up with a little bit more extra work, but that's okay. So we collected the extra grass and we put it along the edge of the bed, and it kind of helps keep the new grass from growing into the garden bed, and it helps protect the plants growing by keeping the seeds in the soil. It keeps the soil warmer by having this dead grass, and when it rains like today, it helps maintain the moisture so that when the sun comes out, it's still moist underneath the soil to help it grow. All right, so we've got like some peppers and stuff growing right now. I also, in one way to help with composting, I've got Dylan's bags, the paper bags, in the garden as well.
Did you steal from a student?
No.
You don't have a Dylan, do you?
Stop, Ma, stop, all right? So right here is some paper Dylan's bags, and I'm using it to help line so that I know where to walk in the garden. It'll break down slowly. It gets wet, so when it rains, it still holds in moisture. And so like I've just kind of placed it here so I know where to walk so I don't step on the seeds. And then it helps keep the grass, because this is a new garden. We just kind of tilled it, so there's lots of stuff. All right, so Over here, this is gonna be my official compost bin now that I've got my garden established. So we put the rest of the grass in this bin here. Okay. It's got holes to allow for air to move. So you're gonna learn today that air movement is key in order to like get the bacteria to break it down. So basically, you just kind of like put your composted items in here, and then you're supposed to use a fork, like a pitchfork or a shovel to bury and mix it. I obviously don't have a shovel with me, but there's a cup of glass right here. It's good to like cover this stuff up so that it breaks down quickly. And then it also helps prevent like larger animals like raccoons and stuff from getting in, all right? But this is just newly established, so I don't have the soil yet, but who knows, in a couple of months I might have some rich, good compost in the garden. All right, guys, thanks so much. Sorry about my husband.
And back to you, Mrs. Louderback,
Goodness.
in person.